So we need a piece of paper to take on our names. All right, so today is,
You just want me to start it?
today is May 13th, 2021. And it's 9:45 a.m. and we're gonna start, we just wanted to have a conversation with you about a proposal. I know that we had talked about having a wage opener, I believe, next January, but, we presented to the board last week to go on and bring to you a proposal, for your consideration now. So as you may or may not be aware of, we are with Kronos and with other improvements in the way we can kind of manage our budget and our scheduling, and then also with the constitutional requirement to go to a $15 an hour minimum wage by 2025 is what they say. As you've seen, the federal government has expedited that a bit. What we have presented to the board is to go to an $11 minimum pay wage for employees now. That way, because normally it would have been next year, the way the states was looking at it. So then we also created, in the new Kronos system, a pay scale. And we can provide you all a copy of what the pay scale looks like, because I think that would be helpful for this conversation. Jana will share it on the screen. I'm giving you a lot of background so that you'll understand where we're going with our thought process. And with that pay scale, everybody is at different places on the scale right now. But what we would like to offer to you all is that we would take what we call force to scale, which is, I think once you pull it up, we'll be able to, yeah, okay, we can explain this. This is the $11. You did it the other day.
I know,
You did. So, let's pick a pay, where's their existing pay, their existing number, current number, just give me paramedic. Okay, paramedic,
EMT. EMT is at $13.75.
all right, so, which means it's currently at pay band,
It's at $13.75 and it's not represented on the scale. So the proposal was to move it to the next closest base rate. So that would be pay grade A6, because you can see 1404
we
is going
can't
to be
see
the
that, we
closest.
can't see the letter A over here. Okay, so when you see an A6, so what happens is,
So the proposal is to go to the $11 minimum wage pay scale. So because nobody can negatively be impacted by that, whatever the current base rate is, it's gonna go to the next highest. That's what we're trying to match it at. So in this case, we don't have a $13.75 on the $11 pay scale. So EMT base rate would automatically go to $14.04. That's the force to scale that Ms. Gilliam was referring to. We're proposing, in addition to that a 2% be added to the base rate. This is for the base rate, entry rate into the EMT classification. So that 2% increase would take it
To the next
step
step.
B. So pay grade A6 step B will be the new base minimum range for EMT, which is $14.32.
and if you notice, so between the steps, it's 2%, okay? So let's say that the Board of County Commissioners asked us to do a 3% increase, it would be a 2% plus, like, there would be like an E
We do a half
one
step.
or something, it'd be a half step in between. So there is a way to do 3% with the board in the future, but I'm just showing you right now that those steps are 2% in between. So you can see where we have for EMT, paramedic, and the storekeeper technician, where their current rate is, what the new pay grade would be, and what the new base rate would be. And we are recommending this as a COLA. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to help with compression.
So this is what the base rates would look like for each classification. So it represents your current rate where the classifications reside now, currently with our DVM, and what the new base rate will be for each. Now, for current incumbents, we are doing the same thing. We would force them to scale, so whatever your current pay rate is, you will go to the grade that is listed for the classification, and you will go to whatever step is closest to what your current rate is without incurring any decrease, like not even
Go
a
back
cent.
to the 11.
So then there would be a 2% on top of that. So let's take paramedic. Paramedic is a B3. Give me a second, I'll reshare my screen.
You have to go back in each time.
I shouldn't have to.
Could we stay at EMT and a current employee at 14?
04.
I'm sorry?
I think it's like 1450.
At 1450, what would the current, because we understand
So
the
that's what
base
I'm gonna do
rates.
it.
We're gonna show you
Yeah.
an example.
So if you're an EMT right now, making $14.50, that's your current rate.
You're between
You'll go
B-
to A6, because that's where everyone in that class will go. Your next closest is gonna be 1461, so they'll automatically be forced to scale at 1461, and then we're proposing a 2% on top of that, so they would go
to
to
1490.
1490.
That would be your new base wage rate.
I think.
Can
Because if
you-
we moved it up to paramedic, then it would just,
Yeah.
Can you
Same
scroll
thing
down
for
to that
Now-
real
paramedic,
quick?
yeah.
I
I'm just
will,
gonna do it
so,
here.
so the example that you gave was one that showed between the 1432 and the 1461, okay? I wanna be clear, there may be somebody that's at a 1460, and they're only gonna get the force to
two.
scale, which is the force to 61, right, the 1461, and then to the 1490.
Okay.
That helps with some compression, and we can't solve all the compression issues in 1 year, but we're trying our best to get to a reasonable scale that everybody can see, you know, okay, if the board in the future gives me 2% or 1% or 3%, here's where I'm going. Right now, we don't have anything like that.
Right.
And there's no consistency. So that's why we're doing the $11 minimum wage, which is a year before, I believe, the state is gonna force it on us. And then forcing everybody to scale, right? So that gets us everybody on the same scale. We're now on the scale. And then, like I said, we're recommending a 2%, to give the increase, so.
So we'll do another one. If you're currently a paramedic making
1970.
2030, I'm gonna say 2030, because the new base is going automatically to 1990. So if you make 2030 as a paramedic, well, your next closest is 2036. So that was to Ms. Gilly's point, that's only 6 cents differential. So the consistent percent increase is only the 2% COLA. Everybody and their mother brother will get the 2%
Maybe somewhere
COLA.
else on
The
the.
force to scale will vary based upon the person's current pay rate. There may even be a case where their pay rate will match what is existing in one of the grades, so they might not receive anything. That's less likely because we run the scenarios. The ones we ran in IAP, everyone received some kind of bump, but it's not gonna be, there's no way to keep it consistent when we're forcing them to scale. So with the 2030, it'd be 2036 plus the 2%, the new rate's 2077. And then if you were to look at it from an annual perspective, I can switch to that as well. It's in the same spreadsheet. So we'll go back to EMTs, they're A6. So EMT's new annual salary, of course, this isn't necessarily reflective of you all, because y'all work, was it 2280? 2180? No, so 2080 is the normal, it's 22, might be. So we actually did calculate the base rates for you, so I'll show you the annual for y'all. I have to reshare my screen again, so give me a second. There you go. So the annual rate is, for EMT, is $32,764. Paramedic is $43,906, so close to 44, and then storekeeper technician is the 24.
So with the language in the with the language in the MOU, if, so let's say October, the board comes up with a 3% increase, so none of our membership would be eligible for the
Oh.
increase, because it says in this after the calendar year 2021.
So what we're saying is that if the date the MOU is signed, if it's before the board agrees to give the other employees in the county, we're gonna go ahead and give it to you all as soon as the MOU is signed. But if they then, a
It won't
month down the
stack.
road or 2 months down the road, say, we're gonna give it to all county employees, you aren't gonna get it again.
Yeah,
So we wanted
his
to make
question
clear.
was if the board asked for 3%, yes, you would get the 1%. We're not gonna not give you what the board offers.
That's why we have the language in there that, you know, you always get what the board gives everybody else. Yeah, we're still working on that part of it.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to make it clear that you're not gonna be able to necessarily double dip. So if the board approves the same exact proposal that we're offering you all for
Right,
all county
I just wanna make sure that we don't
employees,
exclude our membership
Yes,
from.
we agree with you, and that we were struggling with this
that tribe
language
representative.
because we had to say, it would be
You're
the
not
right
gonna
thing
double
for you to
dip,
do.
right,
It would be
yeah.
the right thing for you to advocate for your membership to get that,
Right.
but we have to.
Like I said, and I completely understand where you guys are coming from, 2% immediately, but like I said, if the board strokes out and decides to give 5%, you know, I wouldn't want our membership to be excluded from,
We would, and
that
we would,
match.
we would not want, and I can tell you that our board would not want you excluded from that either. So,
Where are we gonna get
and
the
so we don't necessarily
Right.
have that articulated for
Right.
you in this, but we were trying to demonstrate that you couldn't double dip. But, so we could say that you.
Right.
But you would get any increase above what you're getting, you know. We wanted to provide this, you don't have to sign this today.
Yeah,
We're
this is just
providing this to
FYI.
you so that you would have it.
absolutely.
So that you could, you know, think through it. The other thing that we are planning on doing is doing a recruitment incentive for, you know, sign on for folks. I will share with you that we have been working for a long time to try and find a way to do something for existing employees, and Florida statutes just does not allow it.
Right.
And we're actually still trying to figure out how the governor is gonna give the bonuses that he mentioned the other day, because we can't find statutory authority for that yet either.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we just wanted
Right.
to be aware.
Yeah, because I think one of the biggest issues that we're having is not necessarily getting people to the door; it's keeping them in the door once they're here, and that goes for new employees and long-term employees. I mean, we're losing. You know, the comment was made: this one particular employee will likely be the last employee to retire from the county, and I mean that's from EMS.
Yeah.
That is a sad statement in the fact that the outlook is so poor right now.
Yeah, I understand.
Which is why we wanted to get y'all in here
Right.
as soon as possible. So
Yeah,
literally,
we
as
just
soon
met
as
with the board last Thursday,
Correct.
and we told them that our plan was to come in and meet with y'all. And I made it very clear, that we didn't have a wage reopener with you until
Right.
next year, and they were 100%
Right.
supportive of getting something to you now.
And we appreciate that. Absolutely.
So, all right, well, we've given you food for thought, and then we will do our best to get back with you probably in the next.
Carlos, I can email you the scale.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you that. Read my mind.
We do appreciate y'all's time. I know it's kind of a throw together, but again, we understand the urgency that you are facing in recruitment and retention. So we wanted you to ensure to get this out, because I know you would take it for your own membership. So we weren't expecting any signing of anything. That's why
Right.
we don't have legal or anything represented. I mean, Chris is there, but we're not like doing anything official, but we're not unofficial either.
Right. Absolutely.
We have heard chatter about longevity and or merit coming back possibly.
So the thing is,
That look tells me everything.
no, we have, so in our current HR policies, there is a policy to allow for pay for performance, but we need a performance management system in place to actually be able to put metrics to a person, so we don't get this
Right.
unfairness, like
Right.
I'm just gonna give Sally Mae this.
And that's
I'll
something
give
that we've been screaming for
Yes.
years.
So
Yes.
that's,
Right.
this pay scale, again, is structural. How we apply it will always be dependent upon the budget and what the board approves. However, that's the point of the step system. It literally builds it in there, and if you apply a COLA, it's mathematically tied to a formula, so it changes the entire scale.
Right.
In fact, this is a fun show to do if you wanna watch what the scale does when we, yeah, because they can go. See how it says 11 right now? See the numbers? Okay.
So in 2023,
It's just the whole
Nice.
scale.
So just out of sheer curiosity, I mean, how do you guys plan on keeping up with that, like this change? I mean, is it gonna be or we're gonna have to readdress this every single year
Likely.
as we get closer to that?
Likely.
That threw a wrench in everybody's gear.
yeah, and I think so I thought I was being ahead of the curve by us talking about an $11. And then, you know, the president comes out and says, we're going to 15. I was like, come on, dude,
Right.
give me a chance. Because I thought, I was proud of the fact that we were gonna try and be ahead of it a year.
Right.
So, you know, we have had suppression issues for a while.
Right.
And so we're just trying to help.
We appreciate it.
which-
I mean, I think that anything right now demonstrates something. You know what I mean? I think that if we go back to the membership and say, you know, this is where our reopener was, by contract, we weren't required, or they weren't required to come to even the table to talk about something until then. This is what they're offering. I think that's going to be greatly appreciated. You know, obviously we'll talk to Dick and Mike about it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I appreciate y'all hearing us out.
Thank you
All
for
right.
meeting with us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you. How does it fit in there to get